Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're taking a really close look at a Bali Villa resort proposal that you shared.
Yeah, it's quite detailed.
It is. We're going to unpack the market analysis, dive into the regulatory stuff, which can be tricky, and look at those initial cost estimates for building a premium resort there.
Right. The goal really is to extract the key insights, figure out the viability, the complexities, without getting totally lost in the weeds.
Exactly. We're working from your document, the Bali Villa Resort Complex Development, Market Analysis, and Preliminary Proposal Framework.
That's our main source.
So for listeners, what we want to do is break down Bali's tourism and property scene right now, try to demystify the rules for foreign investment.
Which are super important.
Absolutely. Then touch on key things like where do you build, what should it look like, the design aspect.
And the costs, of course.
Yeah.
Can't forget the significant investment needed.
Definitely. And the risks involved. So by the end, you should have a really solid overview, a well-rounded perspective.
Without being overwhelmed, that's the idea.
Okay, so let's jump in. The proposal starts strong, talking about the health of Bali's tourism and property markets. What's the picture there?
It's actually quite impressive. The tourism rebound is remarkable. The numbers for 2024, they actually beat pre-pandemic levels.
Really? Already?
Yeah. 6.3 million international visitors. And if you look just at December 2024, 551,100 direct foreign arrivals. That's up like 16.5% from November. Shows real momentum.
Wow. Okay. So that upward trend is a key positive sign if you're considering this proposal.
Definitely. And, a big chunk of those visitors are coming from one particular place.
Still Australia.
Still Australia. Dominant. Makes up nearly a quarter of all arrivals.
Which is good for stability, I guess, but maybe a bit risky relying so much on one market.
That's the flip side, exactly. It's something to consider strategically. Diversification might be, important long term.
Right. Now, these tourists, they need places to stay. How's the accommodation market holding up? Hotels, villas?
Generally looking healthy. Star-rated hotels, they hit about 63.7% occupancy in December 24.
Okay.
And interestingly, the higher-end ones, the 4- and 5-star places, did even better, around 68%.
So demand seems solid at the premium end.
It does.
Yeah.
And the villa rental market, which is, what this proposal is all about,
Yeah.
also showing real strength. The document says average occupancy is around 66% year-round.
And peak season.
It surges, up to 89% in high season. That really underlines the potential profitability for this kind of venture.
Okay, so lots of visitors, high occupancy. What about the underlying economy in Bali? Is it supporting this?
Seems so. Bali's economy grew 5.48% in 2024. And a lot of that was driven by tourism and investment.
Makes sense.
The sector covering accommodation, food, and beverages. It expanded by over 10%. That's a direct reflection of tourism's impact.
Okay.
So yeah, it provides a supportive backdrop.
So tourism's booming, economy's growing. What about the actual property market itself? Buying, selling, investing?
The proposal uses the word booming. Strong growth, especially compared to other cities in Indonesia. Investment grew over 4% in 2024. High demand for villas, particularly, at the high end, which lines up well with this resort concept.
Sounds very encouraging. And for potential investors, what about the returns? What does the proposal suggest?
This is where it gets really interesting. Gross rental yields, often between 7 and 15% annually for villas in the main tourist spots.
That's a pretty wide range, but the top end is quite attractive.
It is. And that's just the rental yield. There's also potential for capital appreciation. Some forecasts mentioned are like 10 to 17% annual price increases in prime areas.
Wow. But those are gross yields, right? Need to factor in costs.
Exactly. That's a key insight. You really need to drill down into the net yields. After management fees, maintenance, taxes, maybe some vacancy time, that gives you the realistic picture.
Okay, so the market looks positive, potentially very rewarding, but then there's the regulatory side. Foreign investment in property in Indonesia. It's not always simple.
No. Definitely not. It's a critical area to understand.
Yeah.
The absolute basic point is foreigners can't directly own freehold land. That's Hochmillick.
Right. No direct freehold. So for a long-term resort project, what's the recommended path?
The proposal highlights setting up a foreign-owned company. It's called a PTPMA.
Okay, PTPMA.
This company can then acquire what's called a right-to-build title, or HGB Guna Bangunan.
HGB. And how long does that last?
It can offer tenure for up to 80 years. There's an initial grant, then extensions, renewals.
Yeah.
So for long-term planning, PTPMA leading to HGB, that's the framework.
Got it. And setting up this PTPMA company, what's involved there? Any major hurdles?
There are requirements. The proposal mentions a minimum investment plan of 10 billion IDR.
10 billion a rupiah
Okay, significant.
and at least 2.5 billion IDR in paid up capital.
Hmm.
And it's not just having the money. You need to show a viable business plan, commitment to the local economy. It's a substantial upfront commitment.
Okay, so you've got the company structure, but you can't just build anywhere, right? Zoning must be key. Absolutely paramount. You need to be in the right zone according to the Regional Spatial Plan, the RTRW.
For TRW.
For tourism, that means pink zones, or sometimes orange zones, which allow mixed use.
Pink or orange?
And you must verify this officially with the National Land Agency, the BPN. Don't just assume based on what's nearby. That's a non-negotiable step in site selection.
Okay, verify zoning with BPN. So let's say you have the PTPMA, you've found land in the right zone. What's the permit process like to actually build and operate? Is it one big approval?
Yeah, it's definitely sequential. You generally need approvals in a specific order. Often starts with environmental clearance.
Right, like an environmental impact assessment.
Exactly. Depending on the scale, it's either a full AMDLO for big projects or something called UKLUPL for smaller ones with less impact. The proposal even gives some thresholds for that.
Okay, environmental clearance first. What's next in line, typically?
Usually the building approval. It's now called PBG, Persetution Bangunan Gedung. This basically confirms your plans meet all the technical and safety rules. You apply for this, often online via the SCMG platform, usually before or during construction.
Okay, PVG during construction. Then what? Once the building's actually finished?
Once it's built, you need a function worthiness certificate. SLF, Certificat like Funksi.
SLF, okay.
That certifies the building is safe and, well, fit for purpose. It's essential for operating legally, and you'll need to renew it periodically.
Right. And then finally, the actual license to run it as a tourism business, a villa resort license.
Exactly. You'll likely need a villa license. These can have different rankings, like silver, gold, diamond, based on your facilities and services.
Okay.
And the proposal mentions the old system, TDUP, is now integrated into something called OSS Online Single Submission. That's where you register the business and commit to getting all the needed operational licenses.
So navigating that OS system is key at the end.
Definitely. It sounds like a lot of steps, and it is.
It does sound quite intricate. Multiple stages, different agencies involved.
It really underscores why you need meticulous planning and good local consultants, legal and permitting experts. Delays in one step can easily snowball.
Right. Makes sense. Okay, let's shift focus a bit. We've covered the market, the legal hurdles. Now let's talk about the actual development choices. Where to build? What should it look like? Location first, obviously critical.
Hugely strategic decision, yeah. The proposal lays out some options. You've got the established hotspots, Canggu, Seminyak, Uluwatu, Ubud, Sanur.
Each with its own vibe, right?
Totally. Canggu and Seminyak, very vibrant, younger crowd, maybe potentially high rental returns.
But probably expensive land and maybe getting saturated.
That's the potential downside. Then Uluwatu, famous for the cliffs, luxury focus, great for high-end wellness concepts.
Also pricey, I'd assume.
Also pricey, yes. Ubud is different. Again, cultural heart, wellness, nature. Land might be a bit more moderate there.
Yeah.
Good for traditional or eco designs.
And Sanur, more family-oriented, perhaps.
Often seen that way, yeah. More relaxed beachfront. Then the proposal also talks about emerging areas.
Right, the up-and-coming spots. Where are those?
Tabanan Regency gets mentioned quite a bit, called the next growth area. Land costs are lower. There's an ecotourism focus growing there.
Okay, Tabanan. What else?
North Bali is another one, mainly because of the planned new airport up there. That could be a game changer for tourism in the north. Land is cheaper now, potentially good for oceanfront stuff.
So places like Tabanan offer a lower entry point, but the ROI depends on that growth actually happening.
Exactly. The proposal suggests potential ROI in Tabanan could be 15–20%, which is very high, but it hinges on things like infrastructure improvements, like that planned rail project, and tourism developing as expected. Requires careful due diligence on those growth drivers.
So it's a balance. Proven demand versus future potential. The proposal gives land price ranges too, doesn't it? Per R, the 100 square meter unit.
Yeah, it does, which is really helpful context. Like Tabanan might be IDR 300 million to 800 million per R.
Oh.
Compare that to prime Canggu or Seminyak.
Yeah.
Could be IDR 1.6 billion up to like 3.2 billion or more per R.
Wow. That's a massive difference. Really highlights the financial impact of location choice.
Huge difference.
Okay, so location's decided. Then comes the concept, the design, the architecture. What styles does the proposal mention?
It covers a few popular ones. You've got traditional Balinese, Natural materials, open pavilions.
Classic Bali look.
Right. Then modern minimalist clean lines, simple. Mediterranean, as mentioned, often feels quite luxe. Tropical modern is a popular blend, blurring indoor and outdoor spaces.
I've seen a lot of that.
Yeah. And it even mentions Japandi, that mix of Japanese and Scandinavian design. It's gaining traction.
Interesting. But beyond just style, it also emphasizes eco-friendly and sustainable design, right?
Yes, and that's becoming really important, not just a trend. Travelers are increasingly looking for it.
So it's market appeal, but also potentially cost savings.
Exactly. Incorporating sustainable practices like energy efficiency, water conservation, it resonates with guests and can cut down your operating costs long term. Definitely something crucial to consider seriously in the design.
Makes sense. Okay, so we have the overall style. What about the must-have features, the amenities for a villa resort? What's core?
The proposal breaks it down well. For each villa, private pool is pretty much standard now at the higher end. Well-appointed interiors, en-suite bathrooms are a must.
Kitchen facilities.
Either a kitchenette or a full kitchen, depending on the target market, plus good outdoor space for lounging, dining.
And communal facilities.
Yeah, need those too. A central pool, definitely. A restaurant, a bar or lounge area, maybe a spa or wellness center are usually essential for that full resort feel.
And services.
Oh yeah, crucial. 204/7 reception, security, housekeeping, reliable Wi-Fi is non-negotiable now, concierge services, and obviously all the necessary safety features throughout.
Okay, quite a comprehensive list. Covers the private villa experience and the shared resort elements. Now let's get practical. Building this thing, the timeline, the costs.
Right, the construction blueprint and the financial reality check.
Haha, yeah. What's the typical timeline look like?
The proposal suggests the whole project, from planning to opening, could take roughly 1.5 to 2.5 years.
Okay, that's quite a span.
It is. It breaks down into phases. Pre-construction is, at first, that's all the legal stuff, detailed design, getting initial permits. That alone could be like 3 to 6 months, maybe more.
Right, that initial phase sounds crucial and potentially lengthy.
It is. Setting up the PT, PMA, detailed drawings, starting permits. Then you have the core construction phase. Site prep, foundations, structure, MEP, finishing, landscaping.
How long for the actual building?
Could be 12 to 18 months, maybe longer, depending on the scale and complexity.
Okay, and then after construction?
Post-construction, final inspections, furnishing everything, getting those last operational licenses like the SLF and the villa license. That takes several more months.
So 1.5 to 2.5 years seems realistic overall. Now the big one, costs. What kind of numbers are we talking about?
Will land, as we said, hugely variable. Then pre-construction costs, architects, designers, often 5 to 10% of the construction costs.
Plus permit.
Plus permits, yeah. Setting up the PT, PMA, maybe IDR 48 to 80 million. An environmental permit like UKL, UPL. Could be IDR 20 to 50 million or more.
Okay. And the actual construction cost per square meter.
The proposal gives some ranges, mid-range build, maybe IDR 12 to 18 million per square meter.
And luxury.
Could easily be IDR 20 to 25 million per square meter, or even higher for top-tier finishes.
And that's just the structure and basic finishes, right? What about fitting it out, the furniture?
Right, that's a significant add-on. Furnishing just one mid-range villa could be, say, IDR 200 to 400 million plus.
Yeah.
So yeah, the costs stack up very quickly.
Definitely sounds like a major investment. The proposal mentions a contingency fund, too.
Absolutely essential. Recommends 10 to 15% of the total estimated cost. You need that buffer for unexpected issues, cost overruns. It's just prudent planning.
Wise advice. Does it give a total ballpark figure for a sample project?
It does. It has an illustrative budget for a hypothetical 10-villa mid-range resort in Tabanet.
And the total estimated range?
Comes out somewhere between IDR 77.5 billion and 115.5 billion.
Wow. Okay. That really gives a sense of the scale of investment needed. Close to, what, 5 to 8 million US dollars at current rates, roughly?
Something in that ballpark, yeah.
Yeah.
It's significant.
Finally, on the construction side, who are the key local partners you need? The proposal stresses their importance.
Hugely important. Experienced local architects and designers are key ones who get Balinese style and building regs.
Right.
Reputable local construction companies with resort experience. Good project managers to oversee everything.
Legal help.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Legal consultants specializing in property and foreign investment law. You'll need a local notary for transactions. And qualified engineers, of course.
The proposal lists some example firms too, right?
Yeah, it gives you some names for architects, builders, legal consultants, which is a good starting point for doing your own research. Having that strong local team is invaluable for navigating everything.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground market legal development costs. But every investment has risks. What potential challenges does the proposal flag?
It lays out several key ones. Market fluctuations. Tourism can go up and down, obviously.
True.
Regulatory changes or delays in permits that can happen. Construction delays or cost overruns are always a risk.
Yeah, common in construction anywhere.
Financial challenges, securing funding, managing cash flow, operational issues once you're open, and environmental or social concerns. Impact on the local area.
Those all sound like serious potential hurdles.
Yeah.
How does the proposal suggest mitigating these risks?
The main theme is thorough due diligence at every single stage. Research, site selection, legal checks, financial planning.
And the local partners again.
Crucial. Experienced local partners really help navigate the market and regulations. Having solid contracts is vital.
Makes sense.
Securing adequate funding up front, having those cash reserves like the contingency fund, proactive project management is key.
And the environmental and social side.
Addressing those concerns early, engaging with the local community. That helps build support and avoid potential conflicts down the line.
Yeah.
Contributes to long-term success.
So it really boils down to careful planning, strong partnerships, and active management.
Precisely. The opportunities are there, but realizing them requires a really meticulous and proactive approach to manage those inherent risks.
Well, this has been incredibly informative, a real deep dive into this proposal. If you had to sum up the absolute key takeaways for someone considering this, what would they be?
I'd say first, Bali does present a compelling opportunity. The tourism and property markets have strong fundamentals right now. But success really hinges on a strategic approach. You absolutely have to navigate the complex legal stuff carefully. Make smart choices on location and design, and really consider sustainability. Secure enough funding. Implement robust project and risk management. And understand that trade-off between established hotspots and emerging areas.
And the costs and permits.
Be prepared for significant upfront costs and that step-by-step permitting process, which again highlights the need for careful planning and really good local partners. You can't really overstate their importance.
That seems like a very balanced summary. Opportunity, yes, but requires serious diligence and execution.
Exactly.
So thinking about everything we've discussed, it sparks a final thought for me. With Bali's tourism growing so fast, and this increasing global focus on sustainability, how could a resort concept that truly integrates deep eco-conscious practices, maybe catering to longer stays, more experiential travel, how could that carve out a really unique and resilient niche?
That's a great question.
Like, what innovative approaches could genuinely minimize the environmental footprint, but also maximize the guest experience and, importantly, long-term profitability in this really dynamic market?
Yeah, moving beyond just eco-friendly labels to something fundamentally different in the operation and guest connection. It's definitely something fascinating to think about further.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for unpacking all of this with us today. It's been a really valuable exploration.